Welcome in, everyone. I hope you guys are doing great wherever you're watching from today. We have multiple major developments coming out of Russia, Ukraine, NATO airspace being breached yet again as the situation in Europe continues to descend into chaos with all sides launching strikes against each other, all sides hammering away the best they can to try to gain some edge in this conflict. So we're going to show you the attack videos that have unfolded, what we know about NATO airspace being breached, as well as a shoot down of one of two things minimum that breached the airspace, as well as Russian targets continuing to be hammered and obliterated and chipped away at little by little by little. The situation is on fire. Let's not mince words. Let's not pretend it's something it's not. The situation in Europe, Eastern Europe, with Russia, Ukraine, and NATO is out of control, and it is likely going to get much worse before it gets better. Before we get into all of that and much more, please make sure to like and subscribe. Totally free. Cost you guys absolutely nothing at all. Huge, 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 huge boost to the channel. Let me know what you think in the comments below. What do you think of the Russia-Ukraine war? What do you think of NATO airspace continuing to breach? How does it end? Let me know in the comments below. Hit that bell, all notifications turned on. You won't miss a single thing of the best information on YouTube. And then right here, Instagram, David_Hookstead, X D Hookstead. That's where you can find me on social media. My DMs are wide open. Send me any tips or anything you have, and I will be sure to look into it, or just reach out and say hello. Now, let's get into it. We have watched the war between Russia and Ukraine get more brutal, get bloodier, turn darker, more ominous, with no clear end in sight. NATO and the United States continue to get dragged more and more into it. The United States is now working with Ukraine to obliterate targets deep inside Russia. Ukraine also now has the Flamingo cruise missile. They can make, I believe it's about 3 a day. They're hoping to get that number up to 7 a day by the end of the year. The Flamingo, of course, has range to strike deep inside of Russia, and that could be a game changer. The United States ultimately so far has not given land-based launched Tomahawk missiles to the Ukrainians, but we are helping and selling more weapons. Europeans are giving more weapons. And while this is happening, Russia continues to escalate. They just tested their new cruise missile. They are also breaching and violating NATO airspace, which they have done once again. We're going to get into that. But on the first and foremost front, let me throw this up on the screen for you here. They have the Ukrainians yet again. So I'm filming this on Wednesday, October 29th. So all information is up to date as of October 29th. I always have to say that because the situation rapidly changes. But as of October 29th, this is what we have. So this says from Ozen Technical, Ukrainian attack drones continue their deep raids into Russia territory tonight, hitting the Maersk oil refinery in the Mariel Republic, over 1,000 kilometers behind the front line. The refinery is reportedly ablaze. So you can see on your screen here a shot of the refinery off in the distance. Massive, massive fire underway, 1,000 kilometers behind the front lines. Yet again, we've talked about this a lot. I'm going to keep talking about it. Russian air defenses are failing to stop drones. They're failing to stop cruise missiles. Russia cannot control its own airspace whatsoever, seemingly. Imagine what's going to happen if Tomahawks show up, which the Russians have no chance of shooting down, even though they've talked tough. They've talked a big game. They've pretended they can take down the American cruise missiles. No. They can't stop cheap drones and Ukrainian-produced cruise missiles. What are they going to do when American technology at the highest level enters the battlefield? So we have one picture here of the Maersk oil refinery. This is the location you can see of the refinery right here. So let me go here. So that's not the only thing that happened. It says tonight, Ukrainian attack drones are mounting a major raid into Russia. Multiple sites have already been hit in Stavropol Krai, Ulanovsk Oblast, seen here in the NSO refinery on Novospaskoi, burns after a Ukrainian drone strike. If you guys want to make fun of me in the comments because I am not great at pronouncing all these names, I'm not going to be offended. Feel free to roast me. I did take Russian for a semester in college. That was what, a decade and a half ago at this point, 15 years ago. So I'm not good. Didn't do well in the class. I cannot speak Russian, but here you can see a massive fire burning at this oil refinery. Remember, folks, the Ukrainians are targeting the oil infrastructure. The Ukrainians are targeting the energy infrastructure for one reason. They want to take the money away from Vladimir Putin. And how is the Putin regime funded? They are funded by, you guessed it, oil. So the Ukrainians, with the help of the United States, are smashing away at these targets. So now I'm going to put this one up on the screen for you. So this right here is a video. You're going to be able to see a bit of an explosion here. Plane. Right there, you see a massive blast. Huge blast going off. You can hear gunfire, explosions. And then right here is another one. Boom. You can see the massive explosions again going off. And then here, let me share this. This is the impact on the refineries. Again, more explosions off in the distance. Right there. So we'll rewind it. You can see the blast. Very significant blast. And then right here, put this up on the screen. So this says a busy night for Russia's oil and chemicals industry with exploding facilities in several areas of Russia and temporarily occupied Crimea. Budanovsk, Stavropol Krai, Stav Roland chemical plant, major producer of polyethylene and petrochemicals, Novo Paskoy, Yuvalnosk Oblast, NS Oil Refinery, 6 million tons a year it can produce. The Tabishinino Maria El Republic, Mario Oil Refinery capacity 1.6 million tons a year, produces gasoline, fuel, and bitumen feedstock. Simferopol Pol District, occupied Crimea oil depot near Simferopol CHP and Etan facility in Gaverneskoy. Multiple explosions and fires heard. So let's watch these videos. You can see the massive smoke, massive fire burning here in the background after the Ukrainians continue to just chip away, blow up what they can. Right here, again, you see a massive fire. So the Ukrainians are really just hammering Russian oil infrastructure. There's a photo of one of the refineries just engulfed by flames. And that is not the only thing that the hold on one second here. That's not the only thing that the Russians are suffering here. I'm going to mute this. Hopefully I don't get in an old trouble with old YouTube with the audio. So we'll go full screen. This is a Russian, I think let me see what it is. Let me double check. It is, yeah, it's part of an S-300 launcher that's getting blown up by the Ukrainians. So right there, you can see it come in, blow it up. So yet again, the Ukrainians are hammering away. And then right here, this is Russia yet again breached NATO airspace. I repeat, Russia yet again breached NATO airspace. This comes from Ozent Defender. They breached it over Estonia. Now, remember, Estonia had an incident where 3 MiG-31s violated their airspace for 12 minutes. NATO jets eventually had to scramble and then push them out of NATO territory. Well, yet again, they have breached NATO territory over Estonia, this time with drones, but this time they were shot down. One of them, I repeat, was shot down. It says, in a statement released earlier today, the Estonian Defense Forces revealed that on October 17th, a pair of unidentified drones were detected operating around Camp Ridu near Voru, which was just open last year and is currently home to NATO forces in Estonia, including the U.S. Army's 5th Squadron, 7th Cavalry Regiment. During the intrusion, one of the drones was downed using an anti-drone rifle, though the drone and any fragments were unable to be located by the defense forces, despite assistance from the Estonian border guard. So what you have here is, yet again, the Russians are pushing in to NATO airspace. And President Trump has made it clear he wants these planes shot down. Or sorry, drones, planes, whatever it might be. If you violate NATO airspace, President Trump has made it clear he wants you shot down. Drones, fighter jets, doesn't matter. You can't tolerate. You cannot have Russian drones, certainly can't have Russian fighter jets flying through the air and taking out whatever they want to, doing whatever they want to. You got to protect NATO airspace. You've got to smoke them if you can. And that is exactly what President Trump is demanding be done. So that is what happened here. The Russian drones came in. The Estonians shot one of them down with an anti-drone weapon. And this continues to show that this situation is getting hotter and hotter and hotter. And now, Russia's going to keep doing this. You don't have a choice. You got to put them down. And on top of that, President Donald Trump, I'm going to throw this up on the screen for you here. He also hit Russia with a bit of a threat of his own. For those of you who didn't see this, he was asked about Russia's new cruise missile, which apparently, if you believe the Russians, is this unstoppable weapon that can fly in the air for months, years at a time before needing orders to go somewhere and blow something up. It's unclear how efficient this weapon actually is or how many the Russians have. I believe they built one kind of prototype of it. I don't believe it's capable of everything the Russians have. But either way, President Trump made it clear we've got a nuclear-armed submarine right off their coast, ready to vaporize them if they do something stupid. Let's watch President Trump's comments.
That's why we call him Jerome Too Late Powell.
Russia said this week that they've tested a new missile that can go more than 8,000 miles. Is that saber rattling for you? What is that?
They know we have a nuclear submarine, the greatest in the world, right off their shores. So, it doesn't have to go 8,000 miles. And they're not playing games with us. We're not playing games with them either. We test missiles all the time. But, we do have a submarine, a nuclear submarine. We don't need to go 8,000 miles. And I don't think it's an appropriate thing for Putin to be saying either, by the way. You ought to get the war ended. A war that should have taken 1 week is now in its soon 4th year. That's what you ought to do instead of testing missiles.
So right there, President Donald Trump making it clear that these little Russian threats, these Russian weapon tests, are not going to scare him, are not going to intimidate him. It's not going to make any difference to the United States because we got way more powerful weapons. Our submarines are stealthy. They can't be hunted, and our nukes work just fine. Trust me on that. So if Russia wants to get out there and do this, but keep in mind, we've now got more Russian oil refineries being blown up. We've got more breaches of Russian airspace. We've got the Russians testing new weapons. We've got Trump threatening Russia with our submarines. As I've said before, and I will continue to say, this situation will get worse before it gets better. It is what it is at this point. We're going to have to claw through this with all the developments we have. I will continue to bring you guys the latest news as we have it, but I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. How do you see this situation ending? How do you think it all plays out in the end? Please make sure to like and subscribe. Totally free. Cost you guys absolutely nothing at all. Hit that notifications bell. All notifications turn on. And then right here, Instagram, David_Hookstead, X, D Hookstead. That's where you can find me on social media. DMs are wide open. Please reach out with any tips you have. I'll see you all next time.